Political rallies have exhibited their annihilation in the prudent interest of prioritizing the critical healthcare outbreak of COVID-19. The Election Commission of India has been adhered to not compensate on the poll count, but it is neglecting the severe fragilities of the citizens. It appears to be bait after all. The High Court has shown responsibility and the audacity to go against the inept political power and affirm its comments. How did the long-rowing tussle between the Election Commission and the High Court find its way to brutality? Chief Justice Hima Kohli chaired the case and bombarded the approach adopted by the Telangana Election Commission to carry out the ULB polls, condemning it to be the significant super spreader of the second wave across the state. While the Election Commission's arrogance is going ahead with the polls despite the High Court declaring an alarming emergency, shows how much the politicians care about the well-being of the citizens. According to the assertions made by the High Court, repetitive questions were asked of the State Election Commission on why it didn't stall the elections for municipal corporations or postpone them at a future event amid the dire situation prevalent in the state. The Chief Justice's proclamation of the Election Commission gets validated as incepting the election polls amid the worsening woes of the state over the past few weeks. Despite constant efforts, the High Court's plea went grueling as the SEC went and issued notification for elections. It postulated and held training programs for polling staff and deployed police personnel for controlling the elections. Is this not a sign of pure haughtiness when the Election Commission is threatening the lives of people serving the nation? The Election Commission claims to be an institutional body for inheriting the responsibility for conducting elections in the country. How could we even consider it to be a responsible authoritative body when all it has been doing is disregarding the interests of the citizens for their greed and supremacy? The hot-headed war commenced on Monday after a rebuke of harsh arguments between the Madras High Court and the State Election Commission occurred. During one of the critical arguments of the case, the court commented, "Your institution is singularly responsible for the crippling crisis of COVID-19. Your officers should be penalized on murder charges probably. Were you on another motive of propaganda when the election rallies were held?" It argued that why did the infections rise in Maharashtra, Delhi, Karnataka and Uttar Pradesh? The ascertained states have reported the highest spike in the second wave of COVID-19, even though there have been no elections held. The condescending factor got put out during the arguments by the Election Commission, and it stated that law is one for all, and the High Court couldn't hold them singularly responsible for the disastrous scenario of COVID-19 in Telangana. India's struggle against COVID-19 is capitulating global recognition, but what is the point when our politicians and statutory bodies are showing no precinct of coping with the situation? Even if India gets equitable supplies from the rest of the world, then also there might be a question mark of shortage in amenities, as the corrupt and arrogant protagonists of the law would deploy on selective pricing across their preferred states. How bizarre is the system claimed to be the hope of the nation in the troublesome moments that have tied their hand to escape from their responsibilities? The ethical behavior has trailed down fringes as the state administration is also convoluted to continuing of rallies despite the COVID-19 protocols to rescind public gatherings at the brimming state of affairs.